Let's start with number one. The first question there basically asks you of the definition of what a cost object is. This question could have been crafted better, class. From the way the question was made, it's very obvious that the answer here would be letter D. And there's no reason for you to get this wrong. Will this kind of question come out in the CPALE class? Honestly, I do not know. I think it can, simply because this kind of question exists. At the end of the day, class, the CPALE will just be an exam taken out of a test bank. So as long as this question comes out, as long as this question exists, it's possible for this kind of question to come out. And this question would be classified as an extremely easy question. There should be no reason for you not to get this right. Okay, but basically, class, a cost object is any item, activity, or a segment of a business class from which you can attach costs class. If you can separately measure cost through that item or object, then that can be considered as a cost object. Okay, so a product obviously may be a cost object, which could be a basis for measuring, assigning, tracing a costs class. Okay, of course, customers. One good example here would be your advertising expenses or your selling expenses. The cost object there could be the customers. Okay, and again, any segment of a business may be considered as a cost object. That's why even a department can be considered as a cost object. Hopefully, we can find a better crafted question for cost objects for this one. But here, I cannot imagine any of you getting this wrong. Number two, actual costs, even this one. How can you get this wrong? Does not make sense for you to get this wrong. Okay. While the question forces you to go over the choices, but as you go over the choice class, you'd be embarrassed of yourself if you get this wrong. The only choice that would make sense here would be that actual costs are the costs that are incurred. Obviously, actual cost is not budgeted. Actual cost is not estimated. Actual cost is not forecasted. So the only choice that makes sense here would be your letter A. And if you read the question with the answer, because it does not even make sense. Actual costs are the costs incurred. Then what? Does not even help you with anything, class. But just because this question exists, it creates a possibility that this question can come out in your licensure examination. And it would be a tragedy, class, for you to commit a mistake in this kind of question. Number three, the general term used. Basically, definition of terms already, class. And this is what I always tell students. Always aim to get 100% of questions that are simply asking for the definition of terms, class, or simply asking for identification. So number three, the general term used to identify both the tracing and the allocation of accumulated costs to a cost object is referred to as cost assignment. So number three gives us our definition for cost assignment, tracing and allocation. Definitely it's not cost accumulation, class, because we are already talking about tracing and allocating accumulated costs. Out of accumulation, assignment, and tracing, class, assignment is broader, class. Assignment subsumes accumulation and tracing. Number four, the collection of accounting data in some organized way is your cost accumulation. Again, another type of definition of terms. will these kind of questions come out? Most definitely yes. But as what I've heard, based on recent trends, the board exam will not simply be this kind of question. It will now be multiple statements. You'll be asked how many statements are true. So number 3 and number 4 could be combined together. Cost assignment refers to the term used to identify both the tracing and allocation. Statement 2, cost accumulation is the collection of accounting data in some organized way. So for you to answer that question correctly, you need to know the definition of those terminologies. Number 5, cost tracing is the assignment of direct costs to the chosen cost object. Answer for number 5 is letter A. Number 6, cost allocation is the assignment of indirect costs to the chosen cost object. Answer there is letter C. So what can we conclude from this one? If we're talking about direct costs, we are tracing the cost to the cost object class. But when we say cost allocation, that means we cannot directly trace it class. We are forced to make an allocation. So if we're talking about cost allocation, we're talking about indirect costs. Number 7, the determination of a cost as being either direct or indirect depends upon the cost object chosen. Number 8, classifying a cost as either direct or indirect depends upon, is it the same? No. The answer for number 8 would be, if we go over the choices, the behavior of the cost in response to volume changes. No, it's not the distinction between direct and indirect. It's between variable and fixed. Letter B, whether the cost is expense in the period in which it is incurred. This is talking about period and product cost. Letter C, whether the cost can be easily identified with the cost object. This would be the answer. If it can be easily identified class, then it would be a direct cost. If it is difficult to identify or trace it to the cost object, then that would be an indirect cost. So the answer for number 8 is letter C. Letter D, whether an expenditure is avoidable or not in the future. This is more on your relevant costing class. Number 9, a manufacturing plant produces 2 product lines, football equipment and hockey equipment. Direct costs for the football equipment line are the, so here you really have to go over the choices. Beverages provided daily in the plant break room. It has nothing to do with the manufacture of a football equipment. Monthly lease payments for a specialized piece of equipment needed to manufacture the football helmet. That can be an answer, class. Just to be sure, let's go over the rest of the choices. Salaries of the clerical staff that work in the company administrative offices. By now, class, you should be able to know that almost always administrative expenses are never direct costs. Utilities paid, also the same for your utilities. They are not direct costs. If you can remember, your utilities are considered as part of your overhead class. And definitely direct costs do not form part of your overhead. So the best answer here would be letter B. Specialized piece of equipment needed to manufacture the helmet. Number 10, a manufacturing plant produces, should I ask you for the answer, class? Or you're okay with me giving you the answer? A manufacturing plant produces, and these are the better kind of questions, class, wherein you will have to go over the choices and think about them. I don't like the questions involving definition of terms, but again, you must be able to prepare for them, class. You should get 100% of definition of term questions. Where are we, class? Number 10. A manufacturing plant produces 2 product lines, football equipment and hockey equipment. A variation of the previous question. An indirect cost for the hockey equipment line is the... So when we say indirect, class, it's difficult to trace it to the... In this case, our cost object would be the hockey equipment. In this case, our cost object is the product itself. Material used to make the hockey sticks. Obviously, this is a direct cost. This is traceable to our finished product. Labor to bind the shaft to the blade of the hockey stick. The only way that this should confuse you, class, is that if you are unsure whether this is considered as a direct or indirect labor. But what kind of labor is being rendered here? This labor is directly directly applied to the finished product. So this would be considered as a direct labor. Shift supervisor for the hockey line, this can still be considered as a direct labor. The best answer here would be the plant supervisor. If the choices had been A, B, and C, class, I would say the best answer would have been letter C. Because you can make the argument that it is not directly traceable to the finished product. Okay, but between a plant supervisor, class, and a shift supervisor, it is the salary of the plant supervisor that would be considered as that is indirect, class, out of the 4, the most indirect of the 4. And besides, you can make an argument that the shift supervisor is directly involved in the production of the product. Number 11, which of the following items is a direct cost? Again, we have to go over the choices. Letter A, customer service costs of a multi-product firm. Normally, if it's after sales already, class, that will no longer be a direct cost. Your direct cost, class, again, is a cost that is still part of the production process. But again, I'm saying normally lang because it depends ultimately to the cost object. But if the cost object is the product, class, then normally all after sales expenses would no longer be considered as direct costs. Costs incurred after the sale and even costs incurred after production will no longer be considered as a direct cost, especially if the cost object is a product. So definitely our answer here is not letter A. Printing costs incurred for payroll check processing. The payroll check processing is the cost object. This can be the answer since the cost object is the processing of payroll. And to process the payroll, you will have to incur cost for printing. Again, we have to go over the rest of the choices. The salary of a maintenance supervisor in a multi-product manufacturing plant. Since it's a multi-product plant class, here's another way of analyzing letter C. When we are talking about multi-product class, what will you have to do to allocate the... Sorry, I gave away the explanation already. How are we going to assign the cost of the salary of the maintenance supervisor? It would be through allocating it with the products class. And again, if we're talking about allocation, then that means we must be talking about indirect costs. So definitely the salary of a maintenance supervisor in a multi-product plant will not be a direct cost. Letter D, utility costs of the administrative offices. Again, almost always class, administrative costs will not be a direct cost. The best answer here would be letter B. Bravo. Number 12, indirect manufacturing costs. Letter A can be traced to the product. No, we've already settled that one. can be easily identified? No. What does A and B describe, class? Direct costs. Letter C can generally include the cost of material and the cost of labor. That is also incorrect. That still pertains to direct costs. This should be considered as an easy question. So the answer here would be letter D, may include both variable and fixed cost. Number 13, all of the following are true except that indirect costs may be included in all are true except. So meaning we are looking for the false statement. Indirect costs may be included in prime cost. And this is now the challenge. You rarely encounter prime cost, class, and some students would forget what are considered as your prime cost. And what are your prime cost, class? Direct materials and direct labor. So definitely indirect cost cannot be considered as a prime cost. Letter B. Everyone knows, class, that your product cost is composed of materials, labor, and overhead. Some students would forget that your prime cost would be your direct materials and direct labor. Aside from prime cost, class, what other grouping do we have as a subcomponent of your product cost, class? Conversion cost. And some students would be confused. They would think that your prime cost, your total product cost is equal to prime cost plus conversion cost, and that is incorrect. Why is prime cost plus conversion cost equal? Why is it wrong to say that prime cost plus conversion cost is equal to total product cost? Because it will result in the duplication of your direct labor, because your conversion cost is composed of your direct labor and indirect costs. Okay, letter B, are not easily traced to products or services. That's true. Vary with the selection of the cost object. That's also true. May be included in manufacturing overhead. That's almost always the case. Okay, unless if it's not related to production. So the answer here would be letter A. Answer for number 13 is letter A. Number 14, which statement is true? All variable costs are direct costs? No. Because of the cost-benefit trade-off, some direct costs may be treated as indirect costs. This is true. Let's just go over the rest of the choices. All fixed costs are indirect costs. Not necessarily all direct costs are variable costs. Also not the case. The best answer here would be, which statement is true? Letter B, class. If it's difficult to make the tracing, class, then we may just decide to treat it as an indirect cost. For example, nails, class, in a carpentry work, class. You can trace the nails, class, but it would be inefficient to count the number of nails used, count the number of nails wasted, so might as well just treat it as an indirect cost. Number 15, cost behavior refers to how costs react to a change in the level of activity. That will be the answer. Let's check that. Whether a cost is incurred in manufacturing, merchandising, or no. Classifying costs as either inventoriable or no. Whether a particular expense has been ethically incurred, no. The answer for number 15 would be letter A. How do you classify costs, class? Based on behavior, class? Either fixed or variable. Or it could also be mixed. 16, an understanding of the underlying behavior of costs helps in all of the following except, so we're looking for the incorrect one. Cost can can be better estimated as volume expands and contracts. Okay, that's correct. True costs can be better evaluated. That's correct. Process inefficiencies can be better identified and as a result improved. That can be correct. Sales volume can be better estimated. Now, the behavior of cost will not help us cannot help us estimate the sales volume. So the answer here would be letter D, delta. 17, at a plant where a union agreement sets annual salaries and conditions, annual labor costs usually are considered a variable cost. No, are considered as fixed cost. Sets annual salaries and conditions can be depend on the scheduling of floor workers, of course. Depend on the scheduling of production rates. At a plant where a union agreement sets annual salaries and conditions. Oh. So basically, class, what number 17 is telling you is that your salaries, class, is not subject to the amount of activity. Okay? It is subject to the conditions set in the agreement, class. So basically, regardless of the activity, class, if salaries are set already, then that would mean that these costs will be considered a fixed cost. So the answer here would be letter B. Normally, salary should be dependent on the level of activity, class. Okay, so number 17 is describing some sort of an exemption class or a different arrangement. 18, again, salaries are generally not fixed, class. 18, variable costs. I think this is just asking for definition again. Are always indirect costs. Steer away from choices using the word always, class. Increase in total when the actual level of activity increases. That's most definitely correct. Let's go over the other choices. Include most personnel costs and depreciation on machinery. Now, to some extent, depreciation can be fixed cost. Can always be traced directly to the cost object. Not all. Again, steer away from choices with the word always. So the best answer here, no, the correct answer here would be letter B. Variable costs increase in total when the actual level of activity increases. Number 19, fixed costs may include either direct or indirect. Yeah. Vary with production or sales volume. Definitely letter B is wrong. Include parts and materials used to manufacture a plant. No, that would be direct cost. That would most likely be a variable cost. Can be adjusted in the short run to meet actual demands. Now, it goes against the nature of a fixed cost. The best answer, number 19, would be letter A. Class, in some textbooks, class, letter D is basically the definition of the opposite of the definition of a fixed cost, class. We consider a cost as fixed even though it can be adjusted, class. Okay, but the degree of convenience, class, or the ease as to how it can be adjusted, class, if it's difficult, then within the relevant range, that cost will be considered as a fixed cost. Okay, if it can easily be adjusted, class, then that should not be considered as a fixed cost. Number 20, fixed costs depend on the amount of resources used. No, regardless of the amount of consumption, your fixed cost will be fixed. The amount of resources acquired, that can be the answer. The fixed costs depend on the volume of production. No, the volume of sales, more so not. So the best answer here would be letter B. Would you have rather I gave you this as a pretest, class? Which one of the following is a variable? I was about to put this in Canvas class. And as I started to put this all in the question banks class, I got tired. Okay, you will have to copy the question on this part, then copy each of the choice in this one, the correct answer. Normally, I outsource this task to my sister class. Of course. But she's in Canada now. She listened to my advice to abandon the Philippines. She has to study and study again. 21. Which one of the following is a variable cost? Variable cost in an insurance company. Answer here would be letter C. 22. Which of the following is a fixed cost in an automobile manufacturing plant? Fixed cost. Normally, administrative salaries can be fixed. Electricity used. This would be utilities. And normally, utility bills class would depend upon the amount of consumption. So that's variable. Sales commission by its nature is variable. Windows for each car produced. The more car produced, the more windows that will be needed. So of course, that should not be fixed. So the best answer here is letter A. If each furnace required a hose that costs 20 and 2,000 furnaces are produced for the month, the total cost for hoses is this is not computational class. Considered to be direct fixed cost? No. Direct, this is needed for the finished product, and the total will depend upon the level of production. So the answer here would be letter B. 24, the most likely cost driver of distribution cost is distribution. Parts within the product, no. Distribution. Miles driven. So, letter B can be correct class in the context of delivery class. For the greater amount of distance traveled, the higher the miles driven, and of course, the distribution cost would also be high. Let's just make sure and go check the other choices. The number of products produced, products manufactured. No, when we talk about distribution, this is post-manufacturing already. The number of production hours the same, so the best answer here would be letter B. Number 25, the most likely cost driver of direct materials cost is, of course, this should be related to production cost. The number of parts within the product, the number of parts. There's a scenario that this can be correct, but let's go over the rest of the choices. The number of miles driven, no. The number of products manufactured, definitely. If we're talking about direct materials, it should be driven by the level of production. So the best answer here would be letter C. I think that what is being described in letter A class is like the number of subcomponents. And for a particular direct material class, it should be driven by the amount of use of that material and not the number of materials for each product. 26. Which of the following statements is false? There is cause and effect relationship between the cost driver and the level of activity. That should be the case. Fixed costs have cost drivers over the short run. No. Letter B is false. Letter C, over the long run, all costs have cost drivers. Yes. In the long run class, no cost is fixed. Letter D, volume of production is a cost driver of direct manufacturing. So the answer here would be letter B. Because the concept of fixed and variable cost is only true within the RR class, the relevant range. Beyond the relevant range, the cost classification based on behavior may no longer be applicable. 27, a band of normal activity or volume in which specific cost volume relations. I've just mentioned the answer. The answer here would be relevant range class. So the technical definition of relevant range is the band of normal activity or volume in which specific cost volume relationships are maintained. 28, within the relevant range, if there is a change in the level of the cost driver, then within the relevant range, total fixed cost and total variable cost will change. Letter A is wrong, but which part makes it wrong, class? The first part, the total fixed cost will change. It should not. Letter B, total fixed cost and total variable cost will remain the same. This is also incorrect because total variable cost should change. Total fixed cost will remain the same and total variable cost will change. This is the answer. Letter C. 29, within the relevant range, if there is a change in the level of the cost driver, then fixed and variable cost per unit will change. No. Fixed and variable cost per unit will remain the same, no? Fixed cost per unit will remain the same? No. Fixed cost per unit will change and variable cost per unit will remain the same. The answer, number 29, is delta. 30, when 10,000 units are produced, fixed costs are 14 per unit. Therefore, this will now require computation. Therefore, when 20,000 units are produced, fixed costs will remain the same. So 10,000 times 14 will give you how much? 140, but it's not in the choices. That means we'll have to solve each of the choices. Will increase to 28 per unit. Is that correct? No. Because the higher the production class, the lower the fixed cost per unit. And what happened here? It's higher class from 10,000 to 20,000. Will remain at 14%? No, that's not how fixed cost behaves per unit class. Letter C will decrease to 7 per unit. Let's check. Total fixed cost based on the original data given is 10,000 times 14. That would be 140. 140,000 divided by 20,000. Is that 7 per unit class? Okay, so the fixed cost per unit would now be 7. Then the total will not change. It will remain at 140. So the answer, number 30, is Charlie. Is this the level of questions you encounter? Or these are just too easy? When 10,000 units are produced, basically the same concept class. I'll just give you the answer. Number 31. What's the answer? Alpha. Another computational question. You answer it, then I'll try to answer it while talking. Christie Manufacturing provided the following information for last month. We're given with sales, variable cost fixed, and operating income. If sales double next month, what is the projected operating income? Sales will be 20, variable cost will be 6. So 6, 5, 11, 9. What's the question? Projected operating income. The answer here would simply be 9,000. Hopefully everyone gets it, class. You double the sales, you double the variable cost, but do not double the fixed cost. Since the problem is very easy, class, let's try to understand the choices na lang. Why do you think this question gave you the choice in letter A, class? Okay, the author is thinking maybe the student answering this is simply lazy and stupid, class. At the current level of production, operating income was 2,000, and we say sales double, then you double 2,000, and that would be 4,000. How do we get 7? 20 minus 6. How do we get 7? I get the 7, class. You double the fixed cost, you keep the variable cost at the same amount, even though you double the. Because for you to answer that, class, you basically know it, but you just got it all wrong. Because if you answer letter A, at least we'd say, you're just being lazy. But for you to answer letter B, class, it's a different kind of creativity, class. How about 12? How do you get 12? You just add a 10 to 12? Add 10 to 2? Even if you just analyze the answer, class, the only answer that would make sense here should be letter C. But please don't do that during exams, because I'll proceed to the next question already. 33. K Manufacturing provided the following information. Answer it in your seats, class. Basically the same. If sales double next month, what is the projected operating income? 24, 8 is 16 minus 1, 15. So you can even answer these questions without using calculators. So the answer would be 15. How did we get 14? Still the lazy answer of doubling 7. How did we get 18? Do you double the 2? That's 6, 24. Yeah, that's how you get 18. How about 19? You just add 12 and 7. At least it's consistent. 34. The plant has capacity for 3,000 tires. Please answer, class. And is considering expanding production to 2,000 tires. What is the total cost of producing tires? Direct materials should be multiplied by the production level, class, together with direct manufacturing labor and variable overhead. So you have 23 and 6. Because understand, class, that 23 and 6, the data given there are already per unit, class. So 20 plus 3 plus 6 multiplied by the level of production, which is 2,000. And then your fixed overhead, how much would be your total fixed overhead, class? You multiply 10 by 1,000. So that would be 10,000. So even though you double the level of production, fixed overhead will remain at 10,000. How much is 20 plus 3 and 6, class? 29 times 2. Is that 58,000 or 5,800? 29, 58,000. So 58,000 plus 68,000, the answer, 58,000 plus 10,000 is equal to 68,000. Because you might find this very easy, class, but these kind of questions really comes out, class. 35, do you have the answer already? Let's just agree on the answer. What's your answer for number 35? Basically the same concept, class. Letter C. Class, I'm hoping, class, as we go along the semester, the amount of confidence in as you voice out your answer, class, will grow. Answer here is letter C. The development in your confidence did not happen within this meeting. 36. What's the question in 36? At least we're given shotgun questions already. it will give an appearance of being challenging. As to whether or not it is really challenging, it's still to be discovered. The plant has capacity for 2,000. How do we say this class? Axles is considering expanding production to 1,500. What is the total cost of producing? 30 plus 5 plus 10. So this is 45, and the level of production would now be 1.5. And then, how much is your total fixed cost? 40 times 1,000? 40,000. So 107,500. Do you want to analyze the choices, class? Let's just do it once, class. Maybe, how do you get 85? 85 times 1.5? No. 85 times 1,000, so everything is fixed. Definitely, you should not choose letter A, class. 170, how do you get 170? Is that 85 times 1.5? Yeah. Ano? 85 times 2,000. That's 170. How do you get 102? How do you get 102? Is that 85 times 1.5? Yeah, no. How do you get 102,500? I think I need calculator for this. How do you get 102,500? I think I got it, class. So, ano sa may gibuhat niya? Ano sa to? Ang 40 times 1.5. And then 40 times 1.5. 1,000. And then 40 times 1.5. That's just 100. Yeah, this is how I got it. 30 and 5 times 1.5, and then 10 and 40 times 1,000. But that does not help you in any way, class. So what would be the moral lesson here, class? If you cannot get the answer, try to get how the choices are solved, class. If it's ridiculously incorrect, then definitely that should not be your answer. But, of course, our goal is to get it the first try, class. What is the per unit cost when producing 1,500? We are now in 37. Total cost of 107,500 divided by total units of 1.5, that will give you 71.67. Next, another shotgun problem. What is the average manufacturing cost per unit? So basically the total production cost divided by the total number of units, class. How much is our total manufacturing cost? Given? Yes. And how many units were produced or manufactured? 50. So that's 2 million divided by 50, and that's it. Our answer would be 40. Imagine these kind of questions coming out in your exam. Would it be possible for us to get how the choices were developed? How much is 2 million divided by 47,000? Divided by 47. That's 42.55. So that's how we got letter B. How about 0.025? 50,000 divided by 2 million? And then the 75, just the price per unit. So you don't even have to know how to solve 40 class. You just have to understand why the other choices are wrong. 39. What is the amount of ending finished goods inventory? How many were produced? 50. How many units were sold? 47. So how many units are left? 3,000. I'm sure there is a choice that is the product of 3,000 times 75. How much is 3,000 times 75? 225. Yes, letter C. And that is incorrect because you know that your ending inventory should not be measured based on sales price. It should be based on cost. So how much is the price per unit? 40. So 40,000 times 3, our answer here would be 1,200,000. Because what's the answer so that what's the question so that the answer will be 1,880,000 class? How much is your cost of goods sold? 47 times 40. How about 105? How do you get 105? $75 minus 40 times 3,000. Unrealized gross profit. Number 40, what is the amount of gross margin? So basically, your sales price, or the shorter way of doing this is you get the difference between, you get the gross profit per unit. How much is the gross profit per unit here? 75 minus 40. That will give you 35. Multiplied by the number of units sold, that should give you 1,645,000. Let's stop here, class.